This is an online lesson that I'm going to do with my son, Tim, and my husband, Steve. My husband is using my second Gmail account, and so it's going to pop up saying Dawn Coons, but that's really my husband. So let's see if they're here. So I'll ask them if they're here. And that's Steve, and he's saying yes. And I'm glad that they're here, because that's the biggest problem, I think, getting them here. Okay, so today's objectives are listed here. So I'm asking them to read the objectives, which are to define transgenic organism, design a transgenic organism of your own, and to evaluate news clips to form an opinion on the use of transgenic organisms. And I'm asking them to check out these two images of these two frogs. And I'm asking them now, do you notice anything different about the frog on the left? And to type your image. And that's my husband up there telling me exactly what he's doing. And this is where I want them to type their answer, so I put the cursor there to sort of help them. I would use the comment function, but that's a little difficult for them, so we're just going to type right in the document. This is a Google Doc, and I know that's not the best method for an online lesson, but it's going to work. And Tim's asking, can they answer the question now? And I'm telling him to go ahead and answer. And Tim's saying the frog on the, I think he means the left, is glowing, and Steve says the frog, the left frog is glowing. So I just want to tell him that's right. Oops. So I want them to read, how did they do that? The frog on the left has been engineered to express gene fluorescent protein in muscle cells. The green fluorescence protein was originally from a jellyfish. This frog is a transgenic organism. And so I'm going to ask them, do they want to know what a transgenic organism is? And let's see what they say. Hopefully they say yes. And Tim's being very cooperative. Here's the definition. giving them two forms of the definition. Organisms that have had genes from other species inserted into their genome, also called genetically modified organisms, or transgenic means that one or more DNA sequences from another species have been introduced by artificial means. Animals usually are made by having small sequences of foreign DNA injected into a fertilized egg or developing embryo. Transgenic plants can be made by introducing foreign DNA into a variety of different tissues. Okay, and that tells you where I got those definitions. And down here I'm asking, can you explain why the glowing frog is a transgenic organism? And I'm asking them to type their answer. So Steve is saying the glowing frog is a transgenic organism because it was injected with and Tim's down here saying with a small sequence of DNA, foreign DNA. That's good. Tim's down here saying because it has had genes put into it from a foreign species. And Steve's adding the jellyfish thing. And so they're both right. So that's very cool that they got that. So I'm asking them to imagine that you are a mad scientist. In your laboratory, you have the ability to create a transgenic organism. Your task is to design your own transgenic organism that will benefit mankind. So they have to identify two organisms, select a trait that you would take from the first organism to give to the second organism, and explain how your transgenic organism would benefit mankind. So my example is I would use aloe vera plant and a dog. I would take the aloe gene from a plant and put it into a dog. The dog would then secrete aloe in its saliva. The benefit, when you get burnt, the dog could lick the burn to ease pain and speed up the healing process. Take a minute and then type your response below. And I better check to make sure they understand. So I'm going to give them a minute to do that. So that's Steve saying yes, he understands. And now I'm giving them time because you have to have time to think. And it looks like somebody's down here. Steve has an idea. And he's saying he doesn't need help. going to see if he can figure out his two organisms. And this is tough because, like, in the classroom, if I do something like this, my students can communicate. And so I'm just trying to offer the same advice that I would offer in the classroom. And that's Steve responding. And he's saying that a plant that stops itching from poison ivy and a human. So I think I know Steve well enough to know that he gets poisoned. So he so I know he gets poisoned really bad, so that might be what he's thinking. And I guess it's tough because you really gotta, sometimes you have to ask a lot of questions. And down here, Tim's saying I would combine the spikes of a cactus to a butterfly. This would give you a butterfly, a form of defense. And I'm about out of time here with screen. Oh, he's telling me to let him finish, and I'm going to run out of time here, but I'm going to ask them to watch these two videos, and we'll